I've spent like 30 seconds literally just sitting here trying to think of what to say. Hey guys, it's Bryn, and a few videos ago, I think it was, I had asked for questions to do like a story time Q&A type video, and I got some really good questions, and I could only pick a few of them. If I didn't pick your question, I'm really sorry. It was probably either because it was such a good question that I did not have a good enough answer for it, or it was a question that I may want to turn into like a whole video in the future, so I'm going to like save the question and like just file it away on the interweb. So I hope that's okay, but regardless, like, I had some good questions today and I'm excited to answer them. I hope this is fun. I hope you enjoy this. I like doing Q&As, but you guys ask like really difficult questions and I don't always know how to answer them well, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best and hopefully this is like interesting for you. Okay, so Sarah Jessica on YouTube asked, maybe you could talk about when you lived in France for a few years when you were younger. I think I mentioned that in like my second video or something, so you are like OG subscriber. I love you for that. When I was 9 and 10, so that would have been what, 4th and 5th grade, I think. I lived in France for 2 years because my dad's job moved for 2 years, so my family, basically my parents and myself, had to pack up, move to France, and it was an adjustment. We knew nothing of the language before we moved. I went to an all-French school. Because I was so young and because I was just like thrown into this situation, I learned French like extremely quickly. I think I have a hair in my mouth. The sucky thing is like I don't remember a lot about it because I was so young, and I don't remember a lot about it, like the whole situation. It's all like a blur now, but it was really cool because I got to like travel around Europe a lot. The hardest part about it though, and the thing that sucks, is like when I came back, like readjusting, I ended up coming back to like the same school, same group of kids, just like 2 years later, and I was so worried about people thinking like that I thought I was better than them because I lived in a different country for 2 years, or that I was like, I thought I was so cool, whatever, which was like not what happened at all. I did not feel that way. In fact, I was like so insecure that people would think that I like refused to speak French at all. I refused to talk about it. Like people would try to ask me about it or like get me to speak French and I would refuse. And it got to this point where I was like, I wanted to just like erase it from my memory, because you come back in 6th grade, and 6th grade is like one of the worst grades. Like 5th and 6th grade are like when the cliques happen and when everyone gets in their little groups, and girls are just so mean to each other. And I was so worried about people not wanting to hang out with me and not wanting to be my friend, which ended up happening anyway because people just assumed I was a brat. I ended up like never speaking French again until I took it in college. I completely forgot. I mean, I was fluent and I completely forgot it. And yeah, it's one of those things that like I just don't remember very well, just because I was so young and I was so worried about like fitting in when I came back. I don't talk about it that much, so it's kind of weird, but I guess that's what we're here for. The next question is from Anonymous. If you could have one book published by you, what would it be called and what would it be about? This is such a good question. I was like in love with it when I read it, but I have no good answer to the question, which really bums me out. I really want to write a book. I would love to write a book. What kind of book? I have no idea. God, I don't know. I feel like I would want it to be a mix of Harry Potter meets like a John Green book meets like Catcher in the Rye, because those are like 3 of my favorite books. So if we just like took them all and like smushed them into one story, that would be like my ideal book that I would want to write. I don't know, it's hard. Like writing a book is so hard, and I've thought about it probably since I was like 12 or 13. I've been thinking about how I wanted to write a book, and I have not come up with a good idea yet, which is sad, but it's true. I kind of have that like fear in my head that like I'm never gonna write anything good, everything I write's gonna be crap, and it like keeps me from actually writing, which is bad, and I'm trying to get over it, but it's difficult. Go Frogs on Tumblr sent me like a really sweet message, and then she asked, what was your favorite writing assignment for college? I was actually thinking about this the other day. In college, I probably wrote at least 50 papers, not exaggerating. whatsoever. Most of the things I wrote were like, we would read a book in class and then we'd have to write a paper on it. So like I didn't have a writing assignment that I was like really in love with, like a cool one that a teacher came up with, because that never really happened. But I do remember there are two papers that I can remember like very clearly in my head having written and having liked. One was actually my senior year of high school. I wrote a paper on, I think it was 1984, and I really liked that paper. I remember thinking that was a really good paper. And then I remember one, I think it was the last paper I wrote in college. My last paper that I wrote, I probably spent the most time on out of all the papers I wrote in college, which is weird. But it was on Alice in Wonderland, and I don't know if the paper was like great. I don't think I got like a super awesome grade on it, but I remember being like really proud of it because it was one paper that I worked really hard on and it felt really like unique and different. So I was really proud of that one. Okay, Anonymous said, what is your major and what do you do? So I was an English major. At the moment, I'm actually doing more of like a social media marketing type stuff, which I find interesting. I like it enough, but I don't know that it's what I would want to do forever. I'm not obsessed with it as I want to be. Ideally, I would be doing videos, like writing videos or writing books, or I don't know, writing something that like I was coming up with. I do some writing in my job now, but it's not like writing what I want to write. It's writing like what someone else tells me to write about, so it's not quite as interesting. And the last question is like an insanely serious question. Anonymous says, is there a fear of yours that has or can alter your life in a completely different way? I feel like I've mentioned before that I have anxiety, but I might have just like mentioned it in passing a few times, or I might always edit it out of videos because I don't feel like talking about it. So let's just talk about it now. So I've actually dealt with anxiety probably my whole life. I think it's something that everyone deals with, but my anxiety goes a little bit further than like average anxiety. I remember it started probably about 2 years ago. I would say 2 years ago is when it really like hit its peak, and I started getting like panic attacks and that sort of anxiety that's like happens all the time and you like can't control it and it like takes over your life kind of anxiety. And I don't talk about it a lot just because I feel like when I talk about it I'm whining or like I'm complaining. If you want me to talk about it more in depth, I can. I don't know if I will have anything like, you know, helpful to say about it, but I can try. I'm gonna save that for later though, because I'll need to think about that a little harder. But my anxiety is more related to like health issues. So like if I have a pain somewhere, or I feel strange, or I feel lightheaded, like I'm gonna pass out, my mind immediately goes to like, I am dying. I start panicking and I can't breathe and I make everything 10 times worse. But that's like my biggest thing, is mostly like health related anxiety, or like worrying about stuff that might happen to like my family or friends or things like that. It definitely alters my life for sure. And I think that might be a good place to end the video. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some things about me you didn't want to know. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, or maybe like ask some more questions if you want me to do this again. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with another video.